And our next guest has a lot on his plate. He has a lot to do as governor of the great state of California. He's also an author now of a brand new children's book. It's even getting a chuckle out of him as he's sitting next to me here. It's called Ben and Emma's Big Hit. And look at this. Look at this guy. You took a heck of a wrong turn on the way to the office this morning and ended up in New York.
And then, you're right. Wait a second. I thought this was LAX. You know, not JFK.
Well, Governor Gavin Newsom, good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
We're going to talk plenty, of course, about the book, which is very personal for
you,
obviously, but a lot going on.
I know how excited. Politician with a book. You're just like, you're still like, oh, and I'm going to ask, did you read it?
Wait,
the good news here is you can just flip through it real quick.
You're not even giving me a chance to give you a hard time about the politician in the book before you took it from me. But good to have you here. We want to start, though, of course, with Omicron.
Yeah.
Your state is the first state in the country where we confirmed a case. Give us the latest as far as numbers, and do you have any indication that this thing is starting to move a little bit in your state?
We've identified, as of this morning, 11 cases of Omicron. While there's only 11 cases, trust me, it's exponentially larger, and that means it's ubiquitous, likely all across this country, or at least will increasingly become so. With that in mind, more contagious, possibly, we think, less dangerous. And that's a significant point. Here's the deeper point. The Delta variant is the issue. And it's the issue driving increases in 30 states over the last few weeks, driving hospitalizations and ICUs in a number of states, particularly in the Midwest and Northeast. And it's why we're still very cautious and promoting and very aggressive on boosters and vaccinations.
And vaccination. To that point, though, the vaccine mandates for businesses and for schools have been put in place. Your state, you're the first to say we want vaccine mandates for the COVID vaccine in schools.
Yeah.
Now, it's statewide. It's not going to go into effect probably until next school year.
Correct.
I have that right. But some school districts have gone ahead and put those in place. Story from the LA Times says that some 34,000 kids are not going to meet the mandate in time and are now going to have to be removed in January, possibly from their campuses. Do we need to find a better solution?
We need to fine-tune all this. This is iterative. And LA it was the first county to move forward, or rather the district to move forward. And 34,000 sounds like an enormous amount. It is. Kids, but there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands that did move forward and have gotten vaccinated, and I want to applaud that effort. So it's an iterative process, and you work through these things. It's not finite. No one's ideological about this, but I want to make a point that needs to be made. It's one of 10 other vaccinations that our kids are required to go to schools. I think it's highly ironic that you have governors in particularly red states preaching freedom against this vaccination, but not preaching freedom against all the other vaccinations. It's rather selective, and it goes to the politicalization of this disease, this pandemic, yet we're in the midst of it. So frankly, I find it rather questionable. The mandate we put in place for the state of California includes personal exemptions, not just religious and or medical exemptions. So there's plenty of latitude for families to make decisions. LA is slightly different, and we're going to obviously have to work through that with that district.
But would you rather not see those 34,000 have to, given what all the kids in the whole country's gone through the past year, you don't want to pull these kids out of school again. Can we find another solution?
Just the opposite. We want to keep the kids in school. In fact, California's been able to do that. 12% of the school population in the United States, less than 1% of school closures. You look at states that have not followed science, masking and vaccinations, they're actually shutting down schools because there's outbreaks in the pandemic. People are being quarantined. So California's outperformed the country as it relates to keeping kids safely back in-person instruction in the last many months, as you've seen surges in other parts of the state because they're not following science and math. That said, absolutely, we don't want to see 34,000 kids. So I'm quite the contrary, and that's why I'd say you have to accommodate. And I have all the confidence in the world the school board will work to accommodate. Something
else we've been seeing, the pictures have been incredible out of several cities all over the country, but in California in particular, these smash and grab robberies. You have been speaking on them, and a lot of what you've been saying is say, look, the local folks, you need to arrest and you need to prosecute. They come back and say, hey, on the state level, you made it more difficult for us because some of these crimes now used to be felonies that are just misdemeanors. There's zero bail. That was a policy that was going around for a while. What can be done, and are you doing anything more to help stop these and help the local communities versus what some say just blaming them?
Oh, we're not blaming anybody. We're arresting people. We're prosecuting people. Last week we prosecuted 6-year sentence for organized ring. We're going after the secondary market where they're reselling the products. These are not smash and grabs below $900. By the way, 31 states have equal or greater felony limits. Texas, 2.5 times higher than the state of California. I don't know why that doesn't get attention on one of those other networks. The reality is, since 2000, 39 states have increased their felony thresholds. We did in 2014. Crime, property crime, larceny, violent crime dropped in 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So I think it's a convenient way of pointing a finger as it relates to the laws. At the end of the day, these are organized, smash-mouth crime syndicates that are organized in a way well above, in the millions in some cases. We did $8 million of recovery last week, millions of dollars of products. This goes well beyond any consideration of some misdemeanor felony wobbler. At the end of the day, we're prosecuting as felonies. LA just announced arrests and prosecutions as it relates to felonies. San Francisco did the same. We have a retail theft task force. We started over a year ago. We've been on top of this for over a year, working with the California Highway Patrol and working with data collection and realizing strategies. You're seeing this in Minnesota. You're seeing this in Florida. And it's an interesting fact. Violent crime is higher in a lot of the red states. Violent crime in Minnesota, or rather places like Montana and South Dakota, Texas, higher than the state of California, as well as property crime. Again, we need some balance a little bit in the reporting, but it's unacceptable what's going on.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.